Alright, I want to talk about the plasma gun. So the only valid way to run this is Gets Hot and Blaze Away. Anyone who tells you otherwise is wrong and stupid and doesn't know anything about the plasma gun. Some idiots will run Volatile because they're stupid and don't know what they're doing. Charge speed is pointless because charging is just flat out not good. Like, at all. And I'm going to prove that in a second. Shattering Impact sucks because why the fuck would you Brittle Crushers when you can just one-shot them? Glory Hunter isn't bad, but when you consider that Blaze Away ends up being, like, 36-40% power, like in that ballpark, it is, wow, that is a lot of boss damage you are giving up. But if you were going to run it as, like, Gets Hot, Glory Hunter, that would be understandable. As far as perks, Flak, Carapace, Unyielding. I prefer to have Flak to always ensure the consistent one-shots on a broader enemy type, so as you can see, my personal plasma gun, I made sure that I had Flak as the lock-in perk, and that way I could change between Carapace and Unyielding. As far as the modifiers go, charge rate is sort of kind of a dump stat. Nowadays, it used to be bugged and it used to matter a lot more, but nowadays, it doesn't. It is 0.8 second charge speed between your M1s. If you think that's even something you're going to notice, you are a moron. All these other stats end up mattering a lot more. Okay, now that that's settled, let's actually talk about this weapon, because this is what an actually overpowered weapon looks like. Oh, I also want to say, because this is just going to piss off a lot of really bad players, the revolver is objectively worse than the plasma gun. If you disagree, please let me know so I can just block you in the comments now. Okay, so oh, and by the way, that's coming from someone who's done a world's first challenge. You are just a random person commenting from your Aura quick play matches. No, I don't care what your opinion is. Okay, anyway. Goddamn, that's gonna really piss some people off. Anyway, the best way to run the plasma gun is to run it with Shout and Focus Target. You can run it with Executioner Stance, but that's really overkill. If you do run it like this, you're doing this more so to take advantage of the penetration and clear rooms before you even get into them. I like running Volley Adept because you want to run long shot anyway with this weapon, and it's one skill point. You don't really have much of a better place to spend it. You could drop Volley Adept if you're going to use the reload tech, but come on. The reload tech saves about 1.7 to 2 seconds, which is basically the same as Volley Adept, except... Oh, I did not mean to hit that. Anyway, it saves the same amount of time as Volley Adept, and it's just a lot of effort. I can tell you, again, as someone who's done a world's first challenge in this game, there's never been a time when I was like, shit, if I would have just did reload tech. The only part of the reload tech that's really worth it is using the sprint to cancel the final, like, wind up on the end of the reload. That's worth doing because that saves the most amount of time for the least amount of effort. Anyway, let's talk about the weapon and why it's so OP. So, this is why. It one-shots almost everything in the game, especially if you let Focus Target stack, or you have your Gets Hot going. You can do things like this, where you just chain one-shots on everything. It has unlimited punch-through, and here's a really important statistic. We have 183 bullets. We go up to 185. So the revolver needs 2 kills to get 1 bullet back from Survivalist. This gets 2 bullets back from Survivalist on every kill. But it's only spending 3. So it's gaining 66% ammo back on Survivalist. The revolver gains 50%. So this weapon has to reload less than the revolver. It can attack more than the revolver. It deals more damage on every attack than the revolver. It attacks arguably faster than the revolver. No, it's objectively faster than the revolver, because with the revolver, you have to build up surgical to crit. So it has a much faster attack speed than the revolver. It can attack more between reloads than the revolver. It deals more damage than the revolver, and it gains more ammo back from pickups and survivalists than the revolver. And there are people who tell you the revolver is meta. Yeah, there's a lot of stupid people in the world. Remember, half of everyone you will ever talk to has to be an idiot. That's just what average is. Okay, anyway, so here's another thing to talk about. The charge shot does not pierce through crushers. Some people say it does. I even offhandedly mentioned that it does. So, let's talk about the charge shot again. The one enemy I actually recommend using charge shots on sometimes is crushers, because even if you don't crit, it will pretty much always one-shot them. And it's going to take... Okay, never mind. Not always. It shows you how much I use charge shots. But anyway, because you need a little bit of focus target. Now, it takes 3 shots base to kill a crusher. Sometimes it'll take 2, if you get lucky with crits or have extra damage buffs. but you're looking at a relatively consistent 3 hits to kill. Whereas the charge shot relatively consistently one-shots them. I have to talk in relatives here because, you know, when you're dealing with the plasma gun, especially with a focus target build, yeah, you can see it's relatively consistent. This is arguably worth doing. It's not worth doing versus these guys, because you will most of the time be able to two-shot them with body shots. But again, because you're using long shot and focus target, your exact damage values are going to vary a lot. So if you did use charge shots on these guys, now watch, with more focus target, it'll... yeah. You'll always one-shot these guys no matter what. You'll always one-shot this stuff no matter what. Well, apart from dogs, because dogs are stupid and you're supposed to melee them. They have a 3 times melee multiplier. Something worth knowing is it's not super good against mutants unless you get those weak spot hits. It's just kind of... let me show you that. It's just kind of whatever. Yeah, it's going to take 3 shots. Won't even, without a crit, it won't even one-shot them. But again, you're supposed to melee mutants. You'll find that all the weapons the plasma gun isn't spectacular against, like dogs and mutants, are weapons or enemies that take 3 times melee damage, and you just one-shot them with just about anything anyways. You know, they're the enemies that run into you, so it's not, I wouldn't call it a weak spot or a weak part of the weapon. Making it one-shot Ragers requires quite a bit. You need to either crit, which is why you don't use Maniac damage, or you need like a lot of focus target and a headshot. The point is, anything that you would use to make you one-shot Maniacs, you don't need Maniac damage for. Anyone using Maniac damage on a plasma gun is a fucking idiot, and you can disregard everything they have to say. As far as boss damage goes, I don't believe I was set up for boss damage. Yeah, I wasn't. Whoopsie. As far as boss damage goes, it's fucking phenomenal because it's the plasma gun. You just do these light ping shots, and yeah. If you want a pro tip, though, don't attack a boss when it spawns. Let your teammates attack it first so that the aggro hops onto them, then start your damage. Also, don't tag it super early so you can save some of the tag time. But yeah, the plasma gun is completely overpowered. It's honestly hard to put into words just how overpowered it is. It's just about the only thing in the entire game that keeps up with the Columnus, and honestly, I think it's arguably better than the Columnus. And, just final PSA. The revolver will never be meta as long as this weapon is in the game in its current form. The revolver cannot be meta. This weapon is just better than the revolver.